Tonight, I know Dr. Rita is scheduled to speak on the power of juicing. And I think that's a remarkable subject because I know, Erica, you benefited firsthand, from the 21-day cleanse and really what that did to help you transform your life. And I know for me, it's been transformative for my life. And Willie, I think you've completed how many cleanses now? Is this
About three, three 21-day, three 7-day.
That's awesome. Awesome. In fact, hopefully most of you on the line have already heard about the Flat Belly Cleanse. I'm assuming most of the crowd has already participated in some of our other calls, or maybe you're here just to learn about juicing, but definitely one of the most critical aspects of the 21-day cleanse is juice. And so maybe we can share a little bit about some of those juicing ideas that we have. In fact, one moment, guys, I'm going to pull up some information here because we're going to keep it moving. And Dr. Rita, I know, will be there at some point. One of the things we love about Dr. Rita, she delivers babies, guys. She is an OB-GYN, okay? And what does she tell us? We can't determine when a baby's going to come. So you never know when she's going to be on call or something happens. But we're going to just, again, spend a little time with you tonight, share what we know. And the group that's on tonight, Erica, Willie, we can just have a conversation about juicing because I know we've all used juicing to take our lives to that next level. Okay,
Yeah,
is that good or good?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry,
Okay.
I was trying to reach out to people to tell them to join.
Oh, good. Awesome. Awesome. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull something up real quick. So one moment, I'm going to pull up just a little bit of something to give us a guideline so we can get through this part here. Okay, I think I got it here. Okay, so why don't we just jump right into a little bit of content tonight so that we can definitely have a chance to share with you guys at least what we've experienced with juicing and some of the benefits of juicing. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick. And so many of you are probably familiar with what we're doing with the Flat Belly lifestyle. And perhaps you've already had the opportunity to complete the cleanse. But one of the things we learned, and it's amazing, guys, how things happen. Last October, as we were preparing for our Legacy Conference, Willie Mooney, who you just heard from, actually brought a gentleman to meet us. And at the time when he brought the person to meet us, I think he was more trying to recruit the person into the business. I don't think you were trying to bring a new juicing recipe to Wakana. What was the real reason you brought him to see us?
Honestly, I didn't even think he would be interested in the business.
Okay.
I was just, him being my fraternity brother was kind of like he's an older fraternity brother. So I was like, hey, come on by, check us out, check me out, see what your little brother is doing.
Nice, nice. Okay, and that was great because here's the deal. You thought enough of him to invite him out. And the next thing you know, we collaborated with him. We launched a product line that not only is our #1 selling product line in the entire company, guys, but let's think about that one decision you made, Willie, and now the thousands of lives that have changed. And some of them are life-saving stories, people that were in critical situations. And now because of that decision, you brought him to see us. You didn't know at the time we were looking for the right wellness person to partner with. In fact, I had been in contact with Ernestine Shepherd and her team. Many of you know her, 85 or 86 years old now. She looks phenomenal. We had been in contact with several other wellness experts. And the moment where we met Dr. Prince, our lives changed because we knew that meeting him, it was a different type of meeting. It was just this feeling of this is the person we've been looking for. Because let's face it, you guys are on this webinar tonight because some of us, while we might look healthy, we sometimes have health challenges. And I found myself, at an early age facing a health crisis. In fact, by the time I was 19, I had a 50% chance of living or dying because I was in emergency surgery. And that's what the doctor told my grandmother. When he opened me up, they just couldn't believe what was happening. And a part of my story is I'm a blood type A, who I ate the blood type O diet my whole life, from pork ribs to steaks, you name it. If it was anything that was meat, sometimes fried, corn dogs, bologna sandwiches, I ate it all because I had no clue that stuff was poison to my body. It was toxic to my body. It was messing up my gastrointestinal system. And I got to the point my gastrointestinal system shut down. And what that caused is the body to build up almost like E. coli. Then it affected my appendix. Before I knew it, my appendix had literally exploded in my body. When I went to see them, at the superficial level in which they were trying to detect the disease, they didn't see this happening. So they literally sent me out of the hospital and I was in dire shape. God had something better for my life. And so I lived through something that they still to this day don't know how I lived through it. Because by the time I got to the hospital and returned, I was now in critical state because now the poisons had started leaking into organs and they again just had to put tubes in my body, a lot of surgery, a lot of downtime, but thank God I was repaired. And unfortunately, no one taught me after that experience that the meat you're eating is killing you. This meat you're eating has no fiber. There's no way for it to get through your digestive system. They didn't teach me that 40% as an African American were 40% more likely to die from colon cancer. And so it would take me another 30 years, right? Prior, thank God I found out it before my 50th birthday. I turned 50 next year, but Dr. Prince walked into our lives. He was sharing these concepts with us. And one of the things that he told me that really resonated with me, he asked me if I knew my blood type, and I did not know my blood type. Come to find out, as a blood type A, I should have been eating my entire life a vegetarian diet. But unfortunately, that's not what I ate. Thank God we found out about this program. Thank God Dr. Prince brought this to us, because now we're able to share these life-changing recipes with you. I had went vegan before. I did it in my 30s, wrote a book called The Proverbs Diet. But this is not about going vegan, because there's a lot of vegans that are also unhealthy. This is about going plant-based. This is about bringing more raw fruits and vegetables into our diet so that our body can actually do what it's supposed to do, and that's heal. And so one of the juices that we utilize on the cleanse is this delicious red green juice. I mean, this is one of my favorites to this day, Willie. I have this juice, sometimes daily. Sometimes I don't have time always to make it, but I try to get it in at least 3 to 4 times a week where I'm juicing. And so let's talk about that. I know, Erica, you're on the line. You've had a lot of experiences. Let's share.
So it's amazing how, now I've been knowing, you mentioned 30 years, how you had been in the dark pretty much. And I'm saying I've been knowing Eric for 30 years. And as long as I've been knowing him, I never really, even bringing him to the dispensary that day, I never really wanted to hear what he had to say. So it's just amazing how he had been living a certain lifestyle, especially being very particular in it with the bioscan technology, eating according to your blood type, vegan, plant-based, raw. And he had been doing this proficiently for the last 11 years, and still what I would see him, it's amazing you have somebody in your own midst and you just don't see them because of the history that you have with them, and you don't see them or even try to listen to what they have to say. So it's amazing that bringing him by the dispensary, Phyllis first heard him, and then technically I remember introducing you all like, hey, Melissa, it's my fraternity brother, blah, blah, blah. And I walked off to do a presentation with the team and come back. And now you all were telling me that we were about to do this.
We're in the business together.
I was like, no, I'm not trying to do that. But, and I've juiced before, broke out in hives. So there was something, and I mean, because I wasn't replenishing or whatever the case, I didn't have a full understanding. But what we have now incorporated, and just showing this on the screen, is really game changing for the number of people that we have acknowledged that we have helped, but changing the mindset of what we think we know, right? Or what I thought I know, and then opening myself up to learning something new. That just was amazing.
And I think that's so powerful too, because again, our lives changed that day forever. And it's just God's will. I mean, we know that it was all driven by just such a higher power for that connection to happen and for us to be in business so quick and know that we had the right person. And so that's powerful. So Erica, I mean, you have just such a story. And so I know oftentimes when I'm doing events, I'll meet people that are struggling with different autoimmune diseases. And a lot of times we learn also that these autoimmune diseases are coming because we're eating in the dark. Like Minister Moody said, we're not eating according to our blood type. We're eating foods that are actually working as an enemy to the body. And so why don't you share with them a little bit about your story and just maybe how this has changed your life?
Yes, absolutely. And it's absolutely changed my life. Sorry, I'm not no, at my computer, so I'm holding my phone. So yes, meeting Dr. Prince, Wakanda has already changed my life in general. But meeting Dr. Prince changed my life back in October. I think it was October that we learned about the bioscan. And then we decided to meaning my husband and I, Troy and I decided to fly out to Chicago to get our scan done. And that was the game changer for us, right? Because when I learned what was going on in my body, besides having multiple sclerosis, because I knew that, right? I've been trying to manage multiple sclerosis, my diagnosis of MS since 1998. I was diagnosed in 1998. And so, I was already in the mindset of managing it naturally. And so I was already doing that. And so, but when I thought that maybe I got other stuff going on that I didn't know. That scan told me so much that I didn't even know that was happening in my body. Fatty liver, arterial blockages, all the other stuff, all the other reds and yellows that I saw in that scan. I don't know who's had a scan. Some people may have had it and know that, if it's red and yellow, it's a caution sign and that you need to stop whatever it is you're doing because something is going wrong in your body. Right. And so maybe something that you don't even notice that's happening yet because that bioscan is something that they tell you before the crisis happens. So my doctor wouldn't have known, or they had not shared anything with me. And I've always said that I have MS. I didn't have a choice about that. However, I don't have anything else. So I'm a therapist, but I'm a psychotherapist, a mental health therapist, but I started my journey in my career in medical. I was a medical social worker before I did anything else. And so when I started looking at some of the differences in the people that I've seen over the years and recognizing that the people getting diabetes and high blood pressure and cardiac concerns, all of these things were happening younger and younger. And I'm seeing this in my clients, like 20, 30-year-old people. Like, wait a minute. So when I got that scan done, I'm 53. I'm like, oh no, we're not doing this. I had already, me and God been in constant conversation, right? I want my kids to grow up. Please don't let anything happen to me. I don't want them taking care of me because of MS, right? That was my thought process. And so, but I definitely didn't want them taking care of me because it's something I can control, right? So when I started looking at that, we came back from Chicago and learned about the juicing and the whole process. You know what's funny about this? My mom had given us a juicer for like Christmas or something like a year before. I gave that thing away before this. And so now I'm like, okay, I need a juicer. Now, because me and Troy were like, okay, because he had his scan done and his scan was just as reds and yellows. And like, we got to do something about this. So him and I were on this process and we were doing it together. So we started this process of juicing in 3 days after Christmas. And I got people like 3 days after Christmas, how are you juicing and changing your life and, doing this plant-based thing? And New Year's ain't hit yet. People were upset with us. Like, you can't have a New Year's party. You can't come out because So, so it really was a game changer for us. So I've done the cleanse twice and just really, I can't tell you how beneficial juicing has been to me. I juice every week. Something, right? So I'm either juicing something from the 21-day cleanse or from the 7-day cleanse, because I've done the 7-day cleanse twice as well. So 2 21s and 2 7s. I'm sorry, I got lots of commotion going on around me, so my apologies. But I've done it twice. So I've done it 4 times, some part of the process 4 times. And so I've been juicing all the way in between. And what has been dynamic to me about this, as we've learned more about juicing, one of the things that I had joined this call again, because I wanted to hear Dr. Rita talk about, she's talked about in the past, for people with MS, you really should be eating not only plant-based, taking all those grains out of your diet, right? And just trying to eat more fruits and vegetables as a priority. Because when I was saying to her some of the things that I was eating, she's like, yeah, that's great. And, eating for my blood type, but you really, because of the MS situation, I really should be doing more juicing and more plant-based anyway. And so, so it's just been a game changer. And I noticed how much how much the nutrients in the juices, how much I feel them differently. I was already doing things like turmeric and ginger and all those things, but you put that thing in a juice, I was feeling those things immediately. I was feeling the inflammation leaving my body. And so it's just been a game changer for me. I can't tell you, I put ginger in all of my juices because, and Troy's like, oh, wait, this has got too much ginger in it. But I love it because of how it makes me feel. You know, what it's done for me in terms of my health, in terms of me losing weight, not so much the weight. I've lost a lot of weight, but losing the weight that allowed me to lose the weight, which has improved my health tremendously. You know, so I'm still going up and down. I wasn't able to do this. Today I made asparagus. I cook a little bit more than I used to. I wasn't standing at the stove before at all. If it couldn't go in a crock pot, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't even come downstairs. Today I'm downstairs. I spend a lot more time downstairs than upstairs where our bedroom is and so forth. But we live in a 3-story townhouse and I could not come downstairs. I was saying to my son all the time, hey, can you go get me some water? Hey, can you bring me this? Can you bring me that? Because I could not go up and down the stairs. So I can't tell you, it's changed my life. So using CBD in general had changed my life, but this plant-based lifestyle has been a game changer for me. It's changed my entire lifestyle. So sorry, I didn't mean to keep going, but.
Oh no, that's so powerful. And when you were talking about finding out you had some blockages, and I think for those who have not yet had a chance to get your scan, just to elaborate, a part of our process is we also can help you understand what's going on at the cellular level. And a lot of us, we are ticking time bombs and don't know it. A lot of times you see somebody who drops dead of a heart attack. They're sometimes 40 years old, 37 years old. I remember my son's hairdresser, who my son just loved this guy so much. His name was Barry, out of Atlanta, 38 years old. We got the call, dropped dead of a heart attack. In fact, that morning, he never woke up, had a massive heart attack. And so with our bioscan, what it's able to do is able to pinpoint, are there areas of concern that you're not aware of? Is there blockage going to your heart? Understand that if there's a blockage going to the heart, that's going to impede the flow of blood. If the flow of blood is impeded, then at some point the heart's going to stop working. When the stroke happens, we can actually see with our bioscan, is there plaque building up on the arteries leading to the brain? And so you're right, Erica, the bioscan is a game changer. In fact, tonight, that's what this group is here for. They're doing bioscans and we open them up free to the public. I know they're opened up in Maryland and Chicago, all over the country, guys. So get your scan. I found out, Erica, that I had plaque in my artery going to my coronary area. And my brain was fine, but just to know that I had it in my coronary area and in my vascular system. And my grandmother died of atherosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries of the vascular system. And so that genetic, was dealing with it. And I had no clue because I thought I was eating healthy because I was eating healthier than probably 99% of people, but not realizing I needed to go plant-based, raw fruits, raw vegetables, steamed broccoli, steamed items, but not so much cooked processed food, because for everyone, at some point, it's going to cause some issues. So I'm sure, Willie, you got some comments on this.
Man, let me tell you, you dropping the mic on that because of how we have been taught, especially not even knowing that cooked food can contribute to mucus, inflammation, and fat. Right? Even if it's cooked food that's healthy for us, but even taking it another level of eating according to our blood type, where some foods that's healthy for one person may be poisonous for another. So when you look at this raw regimen, you know, and you look at, let me just share history. I battled cancer, leukemia, which is not, when I look at what we have done and what Eric has brought to the table, what you have brought to the table, and not millions yet, but the millions of testimonies that are coming, I think we're way over probably 1,000 at least.
Way beyond, yes.
Yeah, way beyond. But when you look at from this raw regimen of juicing and incorporating really a liquid filled with superfood, filled with enzymes, and all of the nutrition that God even said, thy plant shall be thy medicine and thy fruit shall be thy meat. And we're taking it in liquid format, doing these 21 days, right? And just adding salads for even extra nutrition, maybe more fiber to get things moving. You look at that, and I'm going to say it like this because this is how I see it. And this is me from my experience. I'm like, man, you know what? I just reset my body. And the only reset that I've known that has got me to out of one stage of being ill to another stage of being in remission was cancer, chemotherapy and radiation. So I kind of look at like, this is me saying this. I'm always put that disclaimer out there like, wow, you know what? I'm at another reset. I look better than after my chemotherapy and radiation. I didn't lose any hair this time, right? Well, I don't have hair, but I didn't lose my beard this time, right? And I'm younger. I feel younger. I look younger. Why? Because of this juice regimen, right? And putting in natural, herbs and all these different things that come in our plant, our flat belly lifestyle, cleanse, reset, detox, you call it all those things. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, like Erica just shared her story, you shared yours, and we're looking at where we are now. And actually dealing with people and offering some type of assistance when we've never been able to do that before with our loved ones. And being able to say, I could help. And then some of them are trying to get in remission for they're fighting cancer now. Or a person who gets the scan and see, and they're already on dialysis and they've been told there's no hope. Like, okay, just wait for a kidney. And you now, because, through, of course, some of Dr. Eric's guidance, Dr. Rita's guidance, where we're able to say, no, I believe, my God says there's a possibility that all things through Christ Jesus are possible if we believe in him. And especially when we're doing the work behind it and not just having that faith. That's amazing. So I know this is just one recipe they're seeing, but y'all, let me tell you, I think we have more. The power of juicing with combining it, and I have to say this, because you can, I love that he was very strategic to identify where certain ingredients of the juice do.
What they do.
And then combine them with a regimen, in a particular regimen, to address the plaque on the arteries, the fatty liver, and all these different things, and then educate us behind it. Like I was just sharing with somebody, like, man, I've only been really trying to understand this and get a capture of this for 6 months, 7 months, maybe I'm bouncing on 8. And there are people who have been vegan for 15 something years and still walking into our dispensary at a time like you are there right now, Melissa, and seeing a fatty liver and seeing some of these problems. So it's obviously something that God has, and I believe through Eric, through you, Melissa, and through all the testimonies, and we're still inviting people to the table. That is something that he's doing that's saying enough is enough. And then we're not just talking the talk. We look like, and somebody told me that. It was like, oh, you look like what you said.
Right. That's awesome, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we can
if I can add to that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. If I can add to that, so when you were talking about people being vegan, so my dad has been vegan since I was 17 years old, right? And so he was always talking to me about trying to be vegan. You need to eat better, and I just ignored him. I'm like, you know what? You don't know what you're talking about. But it was kind of a running joke in the family, and people outside of the family like, yeah, there's just Johnny going again. But, later on, and then I started recognizing that this really is the thing, that how much changing my lifestyle in terms of what I was eating would be so much better for my health, right? But it's also what really was a light bulb moment for me was when my dad came down in May, when we had our event here in May. My dad had been doing colonics, and I don't even want to know what you're doing in that bathroom with that board. But when he came down, he did the cleanse himself, and he was like, I'm not going back to what I was doing before. I'm going to do that liquid colonic, which is one of our products in the Flat Belly Lifestyle, because it's so easy. and it doesn't taste bad. It actually tastes pretty good. It's not, and so think about taking something liquid as opposed to spending hours in the bathroom doing whatever you're doing in there. I don't want to know. But doing that. And so he was saying that that's something that he will continue to do as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And let me throw out there, the proof is in the pudding. Erica, Melissa, can I snatch this for a second? Wait, before I do, hold on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let me tell you, this is what really, Erica knows I'm a setup artist sometimes. She's probably gonna get me for this. But let me show y'all this. This is really what he saw. I believe what he saw, that he was like, what are you doing? I mean,
No,
you all, let me tell you, I'm like, what? This, I'm like, wait a minute. Erica, I'm like, you what? This is what people are seeing, and it's coming from juice. It's coming from, first, I love our protocol. Like, get your bioscan, find out what's going on, right? Do you know your blood type? Because that's very important, right? And then adding this whole Benjamin Button's age reversal type of formula that you all are seeing right here. It's like, this is not just weight loss, and I'm going to say it like this. I got to always put out disclaimers.
Yes.
I could say it now. I wouldn't say this, but Erica looks like she just got rid of pounds of waste.
Yeah.
Like, look at her face.
Inflammation.
Look at the glow. I'm like, she like the last dragon, like she got the glow, right? It's just so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. You did set me up. You did set me up, but it's okay. I love you anyway.
You showed up tonight. I'm just like, they need to see. I mean.
But you know what, for me, I was saying to people, like, why didn't y'all tell me that I look like that? And that's just my face. Y'all don't see the rest of the body. So I was just like, okay. When I came to Maryland, yes, granted, I was 17 years old. I was wearing a 5'6", right? But there was a point in my life 2 years ago, I was in an 1820. I think I was actually pushing a 2022, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? So when the pandemic hit, it was just like, okay, this is too much, right? But it came around at the same time when this program was coming around. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to lose waist, because when you lose the waist, you lose the weight. So I just told you I was 1820. I think by the time, I think that was in March of 2021 or a little bit before that. And then I put on my clothes today. I said to my husband, if I lose too much waist, please let me know, because now my size 8s are too big.
Yeah. Well, let me, it's important because you opened up with a question that says, why don't people tell us? And I think that we're not cruel, right? I think it's a real hard conversation with the people that you love. Yeah. On how do you approach them and tell them, and this is another disclaimer, but tell them that you see they don't look like they're living the best life. Yeah. That's a very hard conversation to have.
Absolutely.
So this is why it's so important to have platforms like this that makes a community of people, make a world of people say, okay, if you want the help, right? Like and now it's the norm. It's the norm because when you look at the number of people that come into the dispensary, or that the number of people now that we're going out to the homes, the churches and everything, and we're scanning, you're seeing that this is the norm, and we're not having enough conversations or saying to the people that we love that tough love, like, hey, okay, even if you have to say the inclusive let's go get checked out, especially men. I'm not trying to hear going to no doctor. And I'm saying it like that because most women have heard from their husbands, their uncles, dads, brothers. I'm sorry. I'm cool. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna pay the bills. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But how do you tell that man that's doing that, like, honey, what do you say? Do you get what I'm saying? What's the words that you really have in your heart that you want to say, but you just can't say it?
Well, it depends on the relationship, because when it's your husband or somebody that's close enough, you just tell them the truth. Like I tell my husband, okay, you eat all that meat, it's going to stay in the colon, and at some point there's going to be problems. Because when we think about the diseases we have, why do we have these diseases and why are things happening? Well, just like a banana, if you take a banana and peel it, what happens? After a certain time, it's going to start browning.
Ooh.
That's called oxidation, okay? And when you think about antioxidants, when you think about carrots, they have carotenoids. When you think about tea, there's something called catechins. When you think about anything red, there's lycopene. So all these different nutrients that Eric formulated to put together is bringing us these antioxidants that are neutralizing these damaging things that are happening in our body. Because you can look at us on the outside and say, oh, well, that person may not look healthy, but imagine what happens when you open them up on the inside. My family didn't understand that I was dying at 19 years old because they were looking at me every day. The color was leaving my skin, but it wasn't until they opened it up and they recognized the oxidation, the damage that was happening at that cellular level. And I think that's the reality, guys. At the end of the day, we are rotting and rusting every single day. And if we're eating dead food that doesn't have any electrons, anything that can give your body a positive charge. And what happens with this cleanse, and the reason why I look at you, Erica, you've totally revitalized, because it's kind of like a car battery that's dead, because we're eating dead processed food, we're eating animals, and now our digestive system has to become a juice extractor. So can you imagine trying to take a big piece of chicken and running that through your digestive system, and it's now doing something it wasn't designed to do? And that's why when you're on this cleanse for 21 days, we're giving your body a break, because we're juicing it so that we're even taking out the fiber, because most people their bodies are so damaged, they need to get to the nutrition immediately. And by doing the juicing and putting the superfoods on top of it, it starts to heal the body, make the body whole. And so for my family, whether it was my son, we just had to have a come to Jesus moment, because at 29 years old, my son was having a polyp in his colon, and there was so many issues. And I'm just like, listen, you know how much I love you, but let's look at your kids. You're going to have to make a choice. Either you're going to need to get a good life insurance policy to take care of them, or you're going to have to make a difference. And he drove up 5 hours to come get a bioscan, and now he's went vegan since he took that scan in January. So how we break the curse?
Scan,
right, we have to kill him.
Scan is a game changer, because you can actually show the person, not just tell them, hey, whatever. You can, like I say, especially men, you can show them what's going on. I scanned a man today. And this wasn't his first scan, this was his second scan. And he had finished 21-day cleanse, and he was coming back because he actually saw physically he had some results. But of course, he, the little cheat, because his wife shared, she was on the phone. He was, beautiful relationship. His wife, while he was in the dispensary, was on the phone and was kind of guiding her husband to what to say, what to ask, because of course she must have identified, you still eating this meat, you cheating. We scanned him, and his reports, right? You could tell that he had a lifestyle change. He went from 8 yellows to only 3. He had plaque on the arteries, on his heart, coronary, and then you look at this and it's like, wow, some of this stuff is in green, it's in blue. It's like, okay, amazing. But then what was powerful was especially as a man to a man, I was able to encourage and point him out, like, hey, dude, cut out the meat, period. Because if you can, we're looking at your victory, you could get to a certain point, because you do love juicing. If you just cut out the meat, I said, give it to Thanksgiving. Just say, man, I'm gonna do another cleanse, reset, give myself a Thanksgiving. And I said, if anything, say to your wife, hey, babe, Thanksgiving, I want you to hook me up. But from now to Thanksgiving, I'm not gonna eat any meat, anything. And I said, invite me over for Thanksgiving. And then you come back 3 days before Thanksgiving, we do a scan, and then decide if you want to eat Thanksgiving meal.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
And there's a myth that we need all this protein, and that's kind of how we raised up. We're going to be big and strong. I was an athlete. We're going to eat this meat. We're going to have these muscles. And that's just a total myth, guys, because when we eat excess animal meat, especially when you think about these kids and they're eating the fried fast food on every corner, it's damaging, it's impairing our kidneys. Yeah. When we think about all the dialysis that we're under, we think, oh, it's too much sugar, not understanding that it's the heavy consumption of animal meat that our bodies was not meant to design. So what's happening is our body is getting leached of calcium, zinc, and all our essential vitamins, because once the kidneys are impaired, it's going to trigger a chain effect. And once we get diabetes, that's the worst disease, guys. So we got to reverse that, because it doesn't just mean you have too much sugar in your blood. It means at some point it's going to compromise your eyes. At some point it's going to lead to heart disease. At some point it's going to lead to so many other critical issues, not to mention an amputation of one of your legs or extremities.
Absolutely.
Well, the power of the blood is amazing. And it's so, for the past couple of months, I feel that God has really been talking to me about how powerful the blood is, right? Like there's power in the blood. And when you look at what happens in the blood, like and how through the blood, fat, mucus, inflammation, it travels, it blocks, and you start looking at the cells. And what clearly I felt that God was telling me is a story like this, right? And this is so, Apostle Paul says, and I used to think, Apostle Paul says that my members war against me, even when I try to do good, right? It's and I used to, Melissa, as a young man, and even up to this point before the flat belly lifestyle, I thought that was really something that maybe he battled with sexually, right? Like temptation, sexual temptation, something like that when we talk about members, the member, right? But then I started looking at the body and how God created the body to protect us, even when we don't protect ourselves. So I got this revelation that if I was, and I usually share this with some people who, I hear my doctor when my hematology oncology doctor, when there was just that point in which she was like, Willie, it's time to do this or you're going to die. So I hear my body saying to, and I use this to say to some of the people that I'm talking to when I see their scan, I'm like, I want to pretend for a minute that I'm your mind, right? Well, I'm your body and you're your mind, right? So Melissa got a mind, everybody on here, Erica got their own mind. And it's a way that we think and there's a way that we eat. But I'm your body and I'm created through the life and everything that God put in me to protect you. But we're separate, according to Apostle Paul. Right? As the scripture says, we just don't war against flesh. That's not the only war, but principalities, but it says strongholds, right? So I want us to tap into that stronghold. And if I'm your body, right, and you're your mind, and I said, you know what, Erica, Melissa, we gotta fight. We got to fight. Now, my job is to protect the both of us, me being your body, right? And by protecting the both of us, I have to do what I have to do, even when you don't, right? Subconscious mind, whatever it is, what you choose. But if it's my job to protect you and we have what God put in here, right? What God put on the earth that goes into me to protect you and you don't give it to me, or you don't do what you're supposed to do with me, it's not going to stop me from protecting you. So this is how it's going to go. It's either, right, our lives that I'm supposed to protect, or your limb.
Yeah.
Because the body begins to go dead to protect itself. This is just the way that I look at it. Like, I'm going to cut off this part of it. It's going to go dead, a toe, a leg, a limb. So that the rest of us our lives, the body, all of us survive.
Yeah.
So when you look at agglutination, and you guys can learn, Melissa has been teaching us about that. Why is there a buildup of inflammation, mucus, and fat? What is it? What is the buildup of inflammation, mucus? It's a war going on.
Yeah.
right? Why do we have common colds? What is a flu? When it's summertime, why do I have a cold? Why am I? It's a war going on. So we have to identify that war and be willing to do something about it. And it starts on the outside. We're just taking it inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can add something to that, because I will tell you that it's absolutely a war, right? So I worked with Dr. Osteopathies, natural holistic doctor, Eastern medicine doctors for my entire diagnosis. And my doctor, she's retired now. She retired this year, hurt my heart. But she's like, Erica, you need to give up this dairy. You need to, you're not allergic to dairy, but you definitely have a sensitivity. And so in people that have autoimmune conditions, especially MS, they should not be eating dairy. They should not be eating gluten. They should not be eating eggs. I'm like, wait, what's left for me to eat? You know, but guess what I'm not eating now? So it had to be a mindset shift for me to be able to give those things up. And I'll tell you, I had another lady that I'm coaching right now. I'm a coach. And I called her today to check on her. And she's like, I said, how you doing? She said, oh, I'm doing great. I said, what does great mean? She said, my mind is better.
Ooh,
I'm now willing
love
to do
it.
it. I'm willing to just go the course. I know that I'm going to go 5 pounds at a time or less if I need to. We just had a really genuine conversation, because she was like, it's yeah, no, I'm ready.
That's
And
good.
I'm like, I love that, because it has to start in the mind.
Yep.
And I know for me, it had to start in the mind, right? And so every day I still got to get up and say, listen, Erica, you know how you feel when you eat well, when you're juicing, when you're eating the right things, and you know how you feel when you don't, right? So make the choice. It's your choice, you know? And so I'm just going to add this last thing. And I know that, I don't know if there's any of the people that I invited on. I know there were other people that also have multiple sclerosis that I invited.
I think the chat is disabled. I just saw a message about the chat,
Yeah,
because it looks
there's
like
no
they,
chat,
they
so
want to
I
say
don't know how that
something.
works. Next time we'll have the chat. They
Yeah,
want to
right.
talk. Sorry
So
about
you
that.
got, there's a question and answer. Maybe you guys can put whatever. I know you're hearing this stuff, and you can put it in the question and answer. No, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that one of the things that I kind of got, my thoughts got thrown, but one of the things that I have learned is that there was a study that came out earlier this year that talked about the reason why people have autoimmune conditions is related to a lot about Epstein-Barr. Epstein-Barr is a virus. And if you're eating the wrong foods, you're going to feed that virus. And so I did not know for 24 years, I've been feeding a virus.
Wow.
And so I'm attending another meeting as well. Good timing, because I wouldn't have heard it if I had attended it before Dr. Prince, and learning what I've learned from Melissa and learning what I've learned from this company, I wouldn't even showed up. Right. But now that I know that, and now that I know that I have control, I have things I can do if I want to heal my body. And Dr. Prince had told me that you weren't born with this. You can heal your body, and he's seen people heal, right? And so, just eating the right foods and making sure that you're eating something that's giving you nutrients. Because the other thing that people have been telling me, oh, I'm full. Well, you know why you're full? Because you're putting the right foods in, as opposed to putting all the junk in that just you eat it, you get sleepy, you wake up and you're hungry all over again. That's why you're full.
That's so powerful.
So, yeah.
Man, you dropping some nuggets. Sometimes I try not to go too deep. But when I hear certain things, they trigger, as a man of God, and me having to be in a space where I see a lot of things not said because of status quo or comfort is not helping us, right? It's as a man of, so that bothers me as a man of God. When you said that the woman shared that in her conscious mind she was making the shift, that triggers for me a very positive thing, because this is me saying this, I gotta say this disclaimer again. because I'm so used to, in the world, the status quo being the elephant in the room of no one saying anything when we say, well, we're supposed to have dominion, power, and authority and all of this over the kingdom of God. But we don't claim that same dominion, power, and authority over flesh.
Mm.
And that's not how we have dominion, power, and authority. We should be able to, and this is a building up,
Mhm.
right? This is a building up because it does, like, we really, how can we elevate if we can't will this flesh to do what God put us in a position to do? If he gave us dominion and power and authority over all the earth, how can we not have, and this is a building up, like, which means that it should be a focus to have dominion, power, and authority over my mind, dominion, power, authority over my flesh, dominion, power, and authority over our choices, all of that. So this is a more of an encouragement. It's been really a standard for me, to just let me hone in on that part because of how many people I want to help. And then wanting to help them, right? Let me take up my own cross and be an example. And I think that starts with, maybe they'll be able to hear from me if I look like what I'm talking about.
Now, you just dropped the mic on that. We have about a couple minutes and we're going to close it out. We're just past 9 o'clock. But what I will say to you, Minister Mooney, and this is probably going to speak to the person out there who's got the cravings and you can't figure out how you're going to get through 21 days of raw. Erica said something, like you said, profound, because there was a shift that happened. And here's why. Food is addictive. Food is a drug. They have manufactured food-like substances that's not really food that we're consuming, and it's making us want more of the drug. High fructose corn syrup is a drug, but it's given to all of our children. Sugar is a drug. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine itself. And so how we fight the drugs is with God's medicine, God's pharmacy. If we go back to scripture, the word tells us what we should eat. And when you think about the strongest antioxidants on the planet, are vitamin C, vitamin E, and beta carotene. When you think about the juicing recipe, we put the beta carotene in it. We take the vitamin E through eating our seeds and nuts that we're eating on the program. We're loading it up with the vitamin C through the lemons that go inside of that juice. And now you're arming your body with God's medicine, and it's destroying what they tried to put against you to use it as a drug, because nothing will outpace nature. And that's why you got to be willing to do the cleanse, because the cleanse is what's going to give you the strength to get over the addiction of food. And food is addiction, and it is a drug.
That is so deep. That's good, you all. Well, I think we said it. I think Dr. Rita would be proud. And I shout out to Dr. Rita. Dr. Rita looks amazing. The last time she showed up at the dispensary, she walked in. And again, I was so proud just to be like, that's my doctor. Like, she's not my doctor, but I'm like, that's my doctor. Like, she looks like, right? Like, she was coming on tonight to talk about the power of juicing. But still shout out to her because she's well qualified, because she has walked that walk, talking. And this is someone who's been in fitness for, my wife followed Dr. Rita, but when she showed me who she was, I was like, she's had some major transformations. But this latest transformation, oh my God, with the plan, game over.
Game over, right? And she's a blood type A who realized she should be a vegetarian vegan, and look what's happened since she's went vegan as a blood type A. So
wow.
Yeah. This is awesome.
I also want to give her kudos, because I've told her this, so this is not something that she doesn't know that I said. I want to give her kudos, because I've been in the medical industry for a long time myself, for 27 years, and it's a really hard thing to shift somebody's mindset from Western medicine to looking at more allopathic options. And she's made that shift. And I'm incredibly proud of her, because a lot of times that's really hard for people to hear. when they have learned something different. So it's just, so I really appreciate her and all that she's given and all that she continues to give, and just making that shift and showing it and just being that example.
And that's awesome. No, we want to give it up for Dr. Rita. I mean, she's done such an amazing job. She's our chief medical officer, and her whole medical advisory board. I mean, Erica, you're on the medical advisory board, and we thank you for everything you've done to pour into the team, your testimonials. Willie, tonight, I think you dropped the mic a couple times. This is just,
you know what? I love what kind of
God in control tonight, guys.
Yeah,
God is in control.
the medical advisory. Melissa, like God is like, it's like the way that God uses you so gracefully. Like I never see Melissa bent. I'm like, I usually like this morning when I talked to her, I said, she was like, how you doing? I was like, busy, but not as busy as you. And I'm busy. So praise God for you, Melissa. Thank you everyone who have joined us tonight. You have been so phenomenal and so amazing. I know you may have wanted to say something, but I see you've really stayed strong, fast, long. I know you captured a lot because it's 31 people here. I think there might have been 32, but you guys were here like troopers. So I know you got something great tonight. So let me challenge you with, go to our Wakana for Life headquarters page. Wakana for Life headquarters page on Facebook, right? Flat Belly Lifestyle page on Facebook, right? And Wakana for Life page on Facebook. So you could, with the person that invited you, get with them, right? Get with them because it doesn't have to stop here with just the information that you heard. You can do something about it, whatever it is. We are, according to what I'm going to say the testimonies have been saying, right, Melissa?
Yes.
We've been doing what we needed to do to help you out.
Amen.
The best way we can.
Amen. So thank you guys. Love you guys. This was amazing. So God bless you. And hey, we'll keep praying for Dr. Rita. She does so much for all of us. She's delivering some babies right now. So we're going to pray for what's happening.
She's delivering some babies.
She's delivering babies. She's doing her job. Absolutely.
Love you all. Peace out.
All right. Take care.